But all of that is a very different philosophy than like the system or the government needs to like turn the dials and spin the wheels to try to cause everything to come out a certain way for people. Which,
I don't think the government needs to do anything. I think the less government, the better.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who like that's what the argument is about, right? Like the argument is kind of in the public square. The argument is, well, the government should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that or this. But I've yet to have anybody come, like everybody who tells a story about people who have done well in some regard. Like it's always because of something they did for themselves or the church helped them or somebody helped or like something. It's always at that grassroots level.
So I was having lunch with a client of mine the other day, and he successfully owns a company, a couple companies, but his main one's a construction company. And we were talking about PPP. Right, the money that they got, and we were talking about the current economy
that you don't have to pay back.
Yeah, and so and he even stated that he himself, right, in his company, they got comfortable.
Yeah,
right, they got comfortable. He saw a lower level of work, right, even on himself. Meaning he woke up with less hunger because they got really good for a little while of asking. You know, the government kept saying, "Hey, let me give you some money," and they were like, "Sweet."
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Hey, you can get another round of PPP," and they're like, "Sweet." And so
I know where you're going with this.
Got in this big habit, and so here, but
by less hungry, you mean less business hungry. You don't.
Yes, less business hungry.
Yeah.
Right. Like his drive. I mean, here's a guy who is already wealthy, right?
Yeah.
But he still woke up hungry every day, and then he got offered free money, and he said, "Well, I'm going to take that," and he got lazier.
And it's crazy how fast it happens.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So if you take that all the way to that level to a guy who woke up and never felt like he had enough, to all of a sudden you hand him free millions of dollars to put into his company bank account. Not that they wasn't qualified, because they obviously you know, he's not going out and spending on like Lambos and stuff. I mean, he used it for the company. It was needed to weather the storm, right? God knows. Nobody knew whether your business was going to thrive or not. We bounced back out of that relatively quick, and I don't know if that could have happened without pumping that money into the economy. But my point is those government checks came, and people acted different. Even successful, entrepreneurial,
It's a real
capitalistic individuals who own $1 million companies woke up that day and did less because they got a free check.
Motivated and less.
So So again, now listen. There are people who need that government help. Right, there are people who, in my opinion, they're in difficult situations, and they're in situations that perhaps they grew up in, and they can't, you know, like, I mean, for example, people that are on Social Security, people that are on Medicare. I mean, there are people who are in really tough situations that I absolutely feel like we should provide support for, but to create the expectation that when shit ain't working right for me. Don't worry, the government's got me.
Right.
Like, that's a really dangerous place to be, in my opinion.
It's like this attitude of and kind of what we were talking about earlier, when somebody, like, if somebody needs to help this person, somebody needs to help that person. But what I feel like our country's run into, especially since COVID, is a sense of entitlement instead of, you know, kind of picking yourself up by your bootstraps, or at least going out and putting 80 to 90% effort into something. And then maybe the one saying my dad always raised me on was, you'll get out of it what you put into it. Yeah. And people stop putting effort into things. Yeah. And it doesn't help when I think the entitlement issue has really changed the name of the game of the social climate that we're in right now. And we also have to acknowledge that there's generational shifts that are happening.